Hey guys, welcome back. I just wanted to show you how I start if I don't have a pattern for a quilt, which 90% of them I don't. I have in my mind what I want. I know I wanted stars on a quilt, and so I started just sketching out. I also like quilts that chain, and so I put in some 9 patches in between the stars, and then I was able to create the chain that I was looking for. Now, as I was working with it, I decided that I wanted it on point. So this is actually what it would look like here. And then once I had it sketched out and I already had my fabric picked out, I came over and I started counting the blocks that I was going to need. And I started making me a little list over here, you know, for the red stars. This is what I'm going to need, you know, as far as a solid, the center of the star. And then I would need 80, you know, of the legs. And I just continued to do that so that I would be able to get my pieces cut. And so now that's where we are. I went through and I would mark my squares as I was counting to make sure that I had everything I need, but it also tells me that this is going to be one square that I'm going to make, and then I can more easily work on it by making my squares first, and then I'll kind of cross those off as I get my squares done, and then put it together like a puzzle basically. So this is where we're at, and my pieces are cut. Okay, so I'm going to pull out my red. I'm going to go ahead and pull out white because I'll be using some of those whites as well within the star legs. And then I'll put my blues away. Okay, so basically, let's lay this out here. The star block is going to look like this. And then this I'm going to cut into to make the legs so that this will be like a V right here. Okay, so these white ones have not been trimmed down yet. They're about a 1/2 inch too big, but I wanted to use them, so I'm going to trim as I go because we'll be making a wonky star. And this is our center, of course, and then we have these that I'm going to cut in half. Put that aside. I'm going to grab a ruler. I'm going to grab a ruler and go corner to corner just to give myself a guide. Now in a true wonky, they wouldn't be measuring. So I guess mine is a controlled wonky star. So when this folds back, it's gonna, oops, let me get it in here. It'll be like that. So we just want to sew on this. Now I do want this over just a little toward the edge. Now bearing in mind that this is larger than it needs to be, so I'll be squaring this up anyway. And I'm going to sew just a hair to the left of the pencil mark. So you can see the pencil marks right beside my seam. And then this will just fold back like this to make the first star leg. And all of this will be trimmed off later. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here, except, let me just kind of get my fold in here so I can get a visual. Okay. This is going to overlap just a little bit down here. This square is 4 inches and it's going to trim up to 3.5. So I like to get a visual just to make sure that I'm going to have a 1/2 inch left to be able to square it up. And then by overlapping this right here, you've got this much. Whenever you make another seam to connect everything, you're going to have enough room there that it won't cut off the little V. So it's important to make sure my overlap is okay, and also that when I'm looking at this, knowing I'm going to trim around the edges, that it will still make a 3.5 inch square. So I can open this up. And I'm going to sew just a hair to the right on this one. So I'm always staying, if I'm sewing the one on the right side, I'm staying on the right side of the pencil mark. On the left side, I'm going to sew just a hair to the left of the pencil mark. Alright, and then I'll continue to do this. Now, I did want to show you where I have one ready to go. So there's our center, and there's the top of the star, and the bottom, and the sides. And then we'll need to trim up 4 of these to go here. I'll do that real quick. Okay, I'm just going to pull this back and go ahead and trim up my squares, or trim this excess off the back to reduce bulk. Okay, so I have trimmed those, trimmed the excess off. So this is what the star block is going to look like. So now all we have to do is start putting it together. So I'm going to sew all of these right down the side. Okay, so now all I have to do is add these, like this. And what I will do, you can either clip or pin. I have some pins here close to me, so I'm just gonna attach those so I know where to sew. And I don't need the 3rd pin because we're going to take this straight over to the machine. Okay, so this is where we're at now, and I did just want to show you right here. See how that V is perfect? This V is not. Once this is quilted, that is not even going to be noticed unless you was putting this in a quilt show where judges were specifically looking at every star to see if your points are perfect. But as far as on a bed, or this is going to be a baby quilt, that is not something that is really going to stand out at all once all the quilting's into it. You know how quilts kind of wrinkle up a little bit? Yeah, that's going to go away. So don't worry about that. I mean, unless you are just a perfectionist and you want to, I wouldn't give too much worry to that, okay? Now we're just going to flip this over, sew that row together, and do the same on the bottom. Okay, so here's the first star, and I'm going to continue. Once I get all my stars done, I'll bring you back, and we're going to start the next block, which is a 9 patch. Hey guys, I almost forgot to turn the camera back on. I am working on the 9 patches now. So it was blue on the corners with this one in the middle. Let me just grab that. Okay, so when you're looking at this little square here between these 2 stars is what we're looking at. Blue corners, the white in the middle, and a different shade of blue in the center. So I've got those sewn together and ready to put the squares together now. So it's just as simple as, straight seams. Now what I do typically is chain piece, but I'm going to make one block just to show you how it goes together. And then this one will sew to the other side. So these will be together, and I'm going to continue. So, hey guys, welcome back. So where we're at now, we've got the stars made, and we've got these 9 patches made. Now we need to make these little triangles that will go right in, that will nest right in there. So that's what we're doing now, and it's going to look like this. Very simple. So that's what I'm working on now. I almost forgot to bring you along, but I have sewn together this one and this one. And now I need this one and this one. Alright, now this one, you can see right here, I need to add a blue one too. Alright, so now we're going to take this one, and it's going to nest right in here. Then we need this one right here. So I'm going to continue to make these, and then we'll be able to start setting these stars, the 9 patch, and these together and make our rows. Okay, so now we are putting our rows together. And we will just line up each block as we sew it along. Now, if you're more comfortable, of course, you could pin each all the way down. But I'm just going to line it up and go ahead and start sewing. Okay, so now that we have it sewn together and trimmed the points off, we're ready to put the red border on. So I will see you back here once that's complete. Hey guys, I am so sorry. When I'm quilting, I kind of get in the zone. I've already got it pinned, as you can see here. And this is what the back is going to look like. So, as we get farther along, I'll try to remember to check in. Otherwise, I will see you when the quilt is done.